may be the greatest catch I've ever seen in my life.
Okay, guys, I hear y'all loud and clear. We are not going to be doing music with the videos going forward. If y'all missed the last video, at the end of the video, I tried to include some background music to see if it would add anything, just allow people to get a little bit more attention out of the videos so you did not just have to hear my voice the entire time. And we got a resounding no. Y'all hated that. I read about 100 comments telling me not to do that anymore. So trust me, guys, we are not going to be doing that going forward. Just was looking for a way that we could possibly improve the channel. Thank God I did not put it at the beginning of the video. I almost made that mistake and I went, you know what? This is probably not going to be good, so let's move it to the end. Thank God I did that, and thank y'all for the feedback telling me not to do it anymore. Trust me, we won't. And now also, guys, I owe y'all a massive, massive, massive thank you. Y'all are going out and just killing these videos by smashing that like button. It looks like the 2 videos that we uploaded today are on track to go over 1,000 likes, and that is absolutely insane. I never thought we would have a video with over just 100 likes, honestly, and now looking like we're gonna have multiple videos in a day over 1,000. Thank you all so much, and if y'all continue doing that going forward, we are going to continue to be the fastest growing fantasy football channel on YouTube. And guys, keep in mind, I am still going to be uploading 3 videos a day at the very minimum. I'll be live streaming for 3 hours every single night at the very minimum. Last night we actually streamed until about 2 a.m. Central Time. So guys, if y'all want your fantasy football questions answered, make sure you're subscribed to the channel. Come into one of the streams. We stream every night at 9 p.m. Central, unless there's a game that night, and we just wait to go live until as soon as the game is over. Okay, but that's enough rambling. Let's just get into these players and let's talk about the 5 wide receivers that are falling fastest in fantasy football going into week 7. And no better player to start with than Juju Smith-Schuster. Now guys, let me get out ahead of this. I was so high on Juju coming into this year. This was by far and away my biggest miss this season. Currently, out of all of my fantasy football leagues, I have honestly a really nice record. Y'all know that I play in 15 higher stakes fantasy football leagues, and we only accounted for those 15 leagues that are high stakes. And currently, I'm sitting with about a 700% winning percentage. And if you take Juju off of those teams and I went maybe drafted a DK Metcalf instead, that number would be a lot better. But the fact of the matter is, we are heavily invested into Juju Smith-Schuster, and I want to apologize for anyone I led down that same path, because I truly thought that this was a wide receiver that if we looked at his age-adjusted production with what he was able to do in his age 20 season, his age 21 season, and honestly, going into his age 23 season, I thought that we could completely write off what we saw last year when Mason Rudolph was in at quarterback, when Juju Smith-Schuster was dealing with an injury. But right now, he is completely healthy. This offense is just prolific at the moment, scoring 38 points this past week. They did not have Devante Johnson, who's a significant member of this team, who gets a ton of targets. So if I told you this entire story, that this offense was going to score 38 points, there was going to be no Devante Johnson in this game, they were going up against a defense that generally is weak over the middle, you would assume, oh, okay, I'm maybe thinking that Juju dropped anywhere from 20 to 25 points. No, that's not what happened whatsoever. I know Juju actually looked like he had some decent production earlier on this season, but I'll say a couple things with that. One, it was mainly driven by touchdowns, something we know that's not going to be sustainable in the long term. 2, he was already getting out-targeted by Devante Johnson. 3, that was before Chase Claypool fully emerged himself into this offense. So I'm going to be completely honest here with you guys. I know a ton of people have been asking me if we should buy low on Juju Smith-Schuster, and I have to say no. I have to kind of be objective about this situation, understanding that even with Devante Johnson being out this past game, looking at Juju just not getting any production whatsoever, I don't know how he stumbles across that production going forward. Yes, he's going to have his random spike weeks just due to the talent that he has, but I don't know if we can confidently start him regardless of the matchup. So with Juju, I'm just going to kind of stay away, and I'm going to let y'all know. All the haters of the Fantasy Flock Network who told me that Juju Smith-Schuster cared more about TikTok, cared more about Instagram than he did NFL football, and I told you, guys, y'all are stupid. It's 2020. A player can have a YouTube channel. A player can have an Instagram. It's not going to affect his play at all. I don't care how many posts a day he makes. Honestly, after looking at his age-adjusted production and looking at his season this year falling off for no apparent reason, y'all may have been right. I may have been wrong, and maybe this is something that we have to learn a lesson from going forward. And I am sorry, guys, if I told y'all to draft Juju Smith-Schuster and y'all went out there and listened. Now, our next wide receiver is actually someone I told y'all to sell high coming into this week. We knew we wanted nothing to do with him going forward, and this is Mike Evans. Now, Mike Evans was just a complete, zero in this game for the Tampa Bay Buccaneers when they went out there and scored a ton of points, similar to a Juju Smith-Schuster. I really hate whenever we see one of these offenses go out and be prolific, and that wide receiver that we think is going to be a key member of that production is just nowhere to be seen. Now, this was actually expected with Mike Evans, because if you looked at his 2020 stats coming into this week, in games that Chris Godwin was healthy, Mike Evans was only seeing about 11% of this team's target share. So we did have him as our number one sell coming into the week. Now, I think that when we are looking at this situation at the current moment, everyone's kind of caught up to us. People realize now that Chris Godwin's back in this offense, you're not going to be able to rely on Mike Evans and his production. So I don't think you are going to be able to go out there and sell at the current moment, just because you're not going to be able to get anything. But as soon as Mike Evans possibly has a game where he catches 6 balls for 80 yards and a touchdown, I'm definitely going to be going out and trying to sell him, just because he is that big name. It's just when we are looking at this Tampa Bay Buccaneers offense, it's going to be very different with Tom Brady rather than Jameis Winston. Yes, they're going to be a better NFL team, but a way worse team in terms of providing us fantasy production, because Tom Brady is not that gunslinger DGAF quarterback. He's someone that's going to manage the game, try to limit turnovers and limit mistakes, and that's not necessarily going to be a situation where we're extremely excited for fantasy. Now, our next wide receiver, Cooper Kupp. I don't have a very strong take on Cooper Kupp here. We have to acknowledge the fact that people are panicking, though, at the current moment. You go out there and you participate in any of the live streams. Every single question is, what can I get for Cooper Kupp? Please, tell me someone's going to trade something for Cooper Kupp. And I'll say right now, guys, I think with Kupp, he's another player like Mike Evans. His value is so low at the current moment where I don't even think we should go out there and buy, but we cannot sell just knowing that you're not going to be able to get anything for him. I think currently Cooper Kupp's actually going to be a hold for us, and once he provides a spike game like we've seen him do throughout his entire NFL career, this has been a consistent player since his rookie season. They did give him a big contract extension coming into the year. I think after that happens, we are going to go out and try to sell Cooper Kupp. But what's intriguing with Kupp not really giving us that much production at the current moment is we know that Kupp actually kind of got phased out of this offense at the end of 2019 whenever Tyler Higbee emerged. But so far in 2020, Tyler Higbee has been a non-factor in this offense, which would kind of tell you that Cooper Kupp should be getting targets because he plays in the same area of the football field as a Tyler Higbee, but that's not the case. For some reason, that's not happening. And with Cooper Kupp, guys, I just don't know if we can do anything about it. Now, our next wide receiver is actually going to be someone I'm just trying to sell off my roster. Y'all know I actually really liked him coming into the season, but with the news that we are going to see Tua Tagovailoa taking over this offense, I am not a big fan of Devante Parker. We love the talent with Devante Parker, but now that Preston Williams is coming back 100% from his ACL tear and Tua Tagovailoa is coming into this offense, I think we are going to see the overall production of the offense go down a little bit. Yes, they may be more efficient. There may be less turnovers, but still, I don't necessarily think that's something that's going to be good for Devante Parker's fantasy outlook, because when we are trying to roster these wide receivers, we are trying to get guys that are having those DGAF quarterbacks, very similar to what I was just mentioning with Jameis Winston and Chris Godwin in the 2019 football season. That was Ryan Fitzpatrick early on for this Miami Dolphins team in 2020, where we saw at the end of 2019 when Ryan Fitzpatrick took over, Devante Parker actually was a high-end wide receiver one, and so far in 2020, he has been impressive outside of his week against the New York Jets, where he was supposed to be a complete smash. Now that Tua Tagovailoa is coming in, honestly, with Devante Parker, I think that we are going to see a little bit of excitement around him based on this quarterback change. Personally, I think it's good for the Miami Dolphins, but I don't think it's good for fantasy with these pass catchers. Now, let's talk about our last wide receiver falling fast, and this is going to be Odell Beckham Jr. Now, with Odell Beckham Jr., y'all know, he was a clear sell high candidate after the Dallas Cowboys game whenever he blew up. I was just banging the drum, telling y'all, sell Odell Beckham Jr. You're not going to be able to start him for the next few weeks. He has brutal matchups, Even when he blew up against the Dallas Cowboys, he did not see the targets that we wanted. We actually saw a ton of that production in that game coming from two kind of random plays where Odell had a 50-yard touchdown rush and he got a 50-yard receiving bomb from Devante Parker, Jarvis Landry. We knew that those were not predictable going forward, and he had just brutal matchups against the Indianapolis Colts and Cleveland Browns. So I'm really hoping that none of y'all have Odell on your rosters, because he was one of our number one sell high candidates just a few weeks ago. But regardless, I think that we just saw exactly what we were expecting the past 2 weeks with Odell because of the matchups, because Baker Mayfield was dealing with that rib injury this past week, which actually led him to get benched for Case Keenum. Honestly, at this point, now that we've seen Odell's value just completely crash when we were expecting him to not really be able to produce these 2 weeks anyway, I think he could make for an interesting buy. But you have to understand that when you were going out and trying to acquire him, you cannot pay the price that you'd be looking at a few weeks ago. Okay, but thank you guys. I really hope y'all enjoyed this video. I really hope y'all got something from it. As always, please make sure you go down there, drop a like, leave a comment, subscribe to the channel. It drastically helps, and I hope I will see y'all in the live stream tonight.